Alrighty, so today we're going to continue working on our informational text using our collaborative strategic reading strategies. The passage we will be focusing on today is called Pioneers on the Oregon Trail. Let's quickly review what strategies we use. Our before reading strategies include previewing, brainstorming what we know, and predicting what we will learn. Can anyone tell me what is our during reading strategies? Yes, Jonathan, go ahead. Nice try, but remember, predicting is what we do first. During the reading, we click and clunk as well as get the gist. Amber, can you tell me what our after reading strategies are? Yes, great job, Amber. Our after reading strategies include wrap up, ask and answer questions, and review what we have learned. I put a chart of these strategies in each one of your reading folders. You'll be able to reference them as we work through the activities today. Now today we're just going to focus on a few of these strategies. The first strategy we're going to focus on is previewing. The during reading strategy we will focus on is get the gist, while our after reading focus strategy will be on review what you have learned. So now we're going to begin working on our reading strategies. I want everyone to pull out the passage Pioneers on the Oregon Trail. We are going to preview the passage. Previewing has 3 steps. The first one is scanning. The second one is brainstorming. And the third one is what we already know. Alrighty. So now we're going to look at the page. So most informational texts have graphics such as illustrations, titles, sidebars, timelines, and headings. As I look at this passage, I see the title is Pioneers on the Oregon Trail. And then I look and I see 2 headings called The Way West and Packing for the Journey. And then I look over and I see a quote, and it says, "Ourselves moving on in the general throng, sand reflecting back in the heat of the sun." And then at the very bottom of the page is the timeline of historic events. So now as I look at this page, I'm thinking to myself, what information do I already know about this? So from looking at the page, I know from watching movies, pioneers travel in wagons with big covers, like the one shown on the page. Now that I've thought what I know, we will use this information to predict what we will learn. So I think, based on the title headings and the pictures, we're going to learn about the pioneers' journey to Oregon in covered wagons. I'm going to write my prediction down. So I'm going to write, we will learn about the pioneers' journey. Now I'm writing this down so I can reflect back on it after we read and while we're reading to see how correct our prediction was. Alrighty, so first I'm going to read the first paragraph aloud. I want you all to remember that when we are reading, we should actively monitor our comprehension. We do this by noticing what we understand and what we do not. If you get stuck on a word, remember we have vocabulary strategies we've learned to help us get through. Now listen as I read the first paragraph. Pioneers on the Oregon Trail. The Way West. In the early 1800s, Lewis and Clark explored the territory west of the Mississippi. No one knew what they would find. As they traveled, they made maps, they wrote in their journals, they described miles and miles of beautiful land with tall trees, good soil, and rushing rivers. So now that I've read the first paragraph, are there any words that you struggled with? No? Okay. So now we're going to work on getting the gist, which is our during the reading strategy. Remember, good readers can identify the most important ideas in the reading. They can shrink the information into one main idea. As I look back at the first paragraph, I know the main person in the paragraph was Lewis and Clark, well, the main people. So now I'm going to think about information. The most important information that I found is that Lewis and Clark explored the territory west of the Mississippi. And while doing so, they used maps and journals to describe what they saw. So the next step I gotta do is reduce that, because that's way too long to be considered a gist. So as I think about all that information in my mind, I come up with the gist. Lewis and Clark were first to explore the territory west of the Mississippi. So I write that down right under my prediction. Clark were first. I wrote that down. And I'm going to save that so I can add all my gist up together. Alright, so are there any questions about creating a gist so far? No? Alright. So now I'm going to read the second paragraph. I want you to do the same thing. Actively listen and use your vocabulary struggles with any hard words. News about the wonders of the West spread. People began to dream about a new life in a new land. And before long, they began traveling west on the Oregon Trail. At first, there were only a few adventurers. In 1943, 200 families crossed the Oregon Trail. Wow. Then, in 1848, gold was discovered in California. Soon after, thousands of people began heading west, hoping to make their dreams come true. Well, that was a really helpful paragraph. So now that we've done reading the second paragraph, I will create a gist. This paragraph is about the people and the main information as they travel west on the Oregon Trail. So now I gotta make one clear statement out of what I just said. So as I think about this in my head, I know that it's talking about them traveling west because they found gold. And they wanted their dreams to become gold, because when you find gold, you become rich, is what they believe. So my sentence is going to be, people traveled west on the Oregon Trail, hoping to make their dreams come true. And I put that under my other gist to keep them in order. Alrighty. Now I'm going to continue on and I'm going to read the packing for the journey paragraph. Traveling west was not easy. The Oregon Trail was thousands of miles long and took between 4 and 6 months to cross. Pioneers had to pack everything they would need in a covered wagon that was not much bigger than a double bed. Once food, tools, and supplies for the journey were packed, the wagon was nearly full. As a result, there was no room left for personal belongings, but the pioneers left behind more than the comforts of home and their special treasures. They said goodbye to family and friends they never expected to see again. Now, as a good reader, I'm going to create another gist after that section. So the main idea in that paragraph is what the pioneers could take with them. So as I look back on what they could take with them, I noticed they could take supplies, tools, and food. So I'm going to use this information to create a gist. So my gist is going to be that pioneers could fit only necessary things in the covered wagon. So what they had to leave behind their family and friends, and they expected to never see them again. It's really sad. So now that I wrote all the main sentences down, we're going to work on our after reading strategy. As I complete this strategy, I know I have to ask myself about what I just read. The first question I will ask is, who explores the territory? So who? So I remember from the first paragraph, we knew that it was Lewis and Clark. And that's in our first main idea as well. So I'm going to write, who, Lewis and Clark. And now I got to ask myself, what did the pioneers have to leave behind? So the what question. Can anyone tell me what they left behind? Yes, Joseph, go ahead. Yep, they left their personal belongings and the comforts of their homes. What else did they leave? They left their family members as well. Great job. So now the next question is the why question. Why did they do this? Does anybody know? John. Yep, they did it because they thought they were going to become rich. So the first thing I'm going to write down is they left their belongings, and then I'm going to write down to become rich. Because they found gold, so they all wanted to go find gold. So now that I've thought about the who, what, and why, I need to review the information. This information I will write down to keep so I know what I've learned about the people from the West. After gold was discovered in California, in 1848, thousands of pioneers crossed the Oregon Trail on covered wagons in search of a new life. However, the trail was thousands of miles long and took several months to cross. They only brought the necessary supplies. So, as you listen to what I read with all my gist combined, does that sound like a fair summary of the story we just read? Yeah, I think so too. So now that I've demonstrated the thought process, you will work with your elbow partner to read the next section called Wag and Hoe. I will walk around and assist when needed. You are to use your preview skills, get the gist skills, and wrap up skills. We will share when everyone is done. Hello, Abby and Sarah. Can I help you guys? What skill are you working on? Oh, you're working on get the gist skill? Alrighty, so let's look at the paragraph together. So, are you doing the first one? Yep. Alrighty. So what I noticed when I read this is they talk about where they're crossing and where they couldn't. So, what did you notice about it? Yes, they did cross through Iowa, didn't they? Council Bluffs, Iowa, to join up with the wagons heading west. Alrighty, so what I noticed is when they gathered, they had certain starting points and certain ending points. So our main sentence could be wagons could not travel in certain areas, such as grass, and they had to travel over the mountains. Do you feel like that covers the first paragraph pretty well? Great job. Anybody else need help? Alrighty, let's finish up. Alright, so now that we have all practiced with our partners, let's come back together. Today we worked on CSR strategies. I really enjoyed today's class. Can anyone tell me what our before reading strategy is? Go ahead. Yes, our before reading strategy is our previewing strategy. How about our during reading strategy? Good try, John, but let's remember, during our reading, we either click and clunk or get the gist, or even both at sometimes when needed. So reviewing what we learned is after we read. So can you tell me again what our strategy is after we read? Yes, we ask and answer questions as well as review what we've learned. You all did a fantastic job, and we will continue working on these strategies to help us learn how to understand informational text.